I hung out with him a bit before. Oh yeah, I hung out with him a bit right before. Like he came forward.
Was that what that
with
pictures was?
Yeah. Before he came forward with like the weed stuff, that he was a big weed smoker.
Yeah.
And we were doing this job together, and they asked him, "Hey, would you act on this thing?" And he said yes. And they were like, "Well, what do you need?" And he's like, "I need a car with Xbox in it, and just to be able to smoke weed in the car and play Xbox." And that's all he wanted to do.
What was his game of choice? Do you know?
I didn't go near the car. Yeah, I was like, Tyson's doing his thing. I'm not gonna go knock on the window with a hotbox car. But he was in there when they needed him. He'd come. He was great. He was a nice guy. But when he was like, I'm going right to play Xbox and smoke weed.
Imagine if it was just like him and Guitar Hero for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
He's like kind of like brilliant in a weird way.
Oh yeah.
Like he says some really
He's
like
deep.
heavy, deep shit.
Well, when you
know?
smoke that much weed and do that many mushrooms, I'd hope it eventually
He-
becomes a spiritual experience. for you.
I can't do shit like that.
You can't?
No.
Why? Do you get
no.
paranoid, crazy?
I'm like, I would get like, just having like anxiety and depression sometimes. It would kick in. But if I'm not working, like my rule is if I'm not on stage for 3 or 4 days and I'm with people that I love, I'll take an edible or smoke a little bit and have some, because I know the next day, even if I'm foggy, I'm not getting on stage, or, I have a few days before I have to travel. But if I'm doing that, I can't. Like, I get all fucked up.
Have you always been that way with it, or did it turn on you
Yeah,
once?
I'm like a drink. I'm like, I like to have a couple of cocktails here and there, but the weed, I've had some really bad. I had an edible experience that was.
Well, yeah.
I went to bed without it hitting. And then I woke up in like an hallucination.
It's the worst.
So, dude, it was fucking nuts, man. My brother-in-law gave me this like chocolate bar, and in the chocolate bar there were little boxes. So he goes, only one. This is the strongest shit that's out there. So I came home as New Year's Eve, and I wanted my wife to stay up so I could watch like the ball drop and hang. And she literally, like, the house was kind of dark, and she was like ready for bed. It was not and like we poured a glass of wine. She's like, all right, well, and I'm just sitting there. I was performing in Albany, and I flew home, and I'm just on the couch alone. Everyone went to bed, and I got this like white macadamia chocolate shit, and I was like, all right. So I bit it, and it was delicious, and like 45 minutes went by and nothing. So I just took a giant bite at like 3 a.m.
Tale as old as time.
And this is probably like 5 years, 6 years ago.
Oh, I hate this for
And
you.
I slept in my son's bedroom, right? And he's 15 now, so he was like 9 or 8, and he had like, so I just woke up.
A dinosaur.
No, he had Darth Vader here, and he had a fucking goldfish that he won he won this goldfish, and he had it for 6 years. And it kept getting him bigger tanks.
Yes.
He just went to this fair and he started throwing ping pong balls, and he came home with fucking like 18 fish. They all died except this one.
Wow. Yeah.
And this thing was like this. And like I looked at it, and the water going into it started sounding like whispers. And then I thought there were 2 Mexican dudes. I swear to God, I thought there were I heard 2 Mexican men voices conspiring against me outside his door. And then I look up and I see fucking Darth Vader. So I said, I gotta pee, and I sat up to pee, and when I got up to pee, I forgot what I got up for, and I didn't know I had to pee. So now I think I'm having a stroke or a brain bleed. So I go, Stacy, I called my staff. I go, Stace. And she goes, what did you, I said, I can't remember anything. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm hearing things.
Oh, no.
And she goes, Paul, I go, you got to take me to the hospital. And she goes, you got to sleep it off.
Okay, because she knew the weed.
She knew.
She knew.
Thank
She
God.
goes, you have to just stay in bed and sleep it off. And like, I just stayed under the covers. It was like
The
9
worst.
It was 9.5 hours. And I'm like, there's no reason for this anymore.
9 and a
It's the
half
worst.
hours.
I was
Yeah.
fucking.
Oh my
it
God.
was. I went to a place that
dark.
Like some
Dark.
like some people can do it. Like Joey Diaz could do. Some people could do like 200 mil. I am not built for that. Give me a couple tequilas.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 or 2 hits and I'm good.
Yes.
And this was something where I'm like, this isn't. I never understood those people. Like I had friends that would like in high school smoke blunt after blunt.
That was
and like,
me.
And like,
Rob,
and
yeah.
like
All day
take
long.
tests and be fine.
Yeah,
And I'm going like, I got friends that go on stage high. And I'm
sure.
going like, I can't. So I'm not big on that.
Got it.
I
It's
was-
understandable.
Yeah, what's crazy is I've done like 90% of the drugs that were out there when I stopped doing drugs 10 years ago, whatever. And like the only shit to ever fuck me up is weed edibles and Valium. Like Valium for some reason made me feel like I was on a fucking ship, and like it fucked me up. But then
Really?
Isn't Valium supposed to help with that?
Well, you know what's fucked up actually? My friend's mom had MS. and she had Valium in the
For
cabinet.
MS? I never got Valium for my MS.
Well,
Fuck that.
This was, you know, this was 30 years ago. You
kidding.
know, they didn't know what to do back then. And she just had. That's what we thought.
Is
she had. I think
Is
for
Xanax
spasms.
considered that? Is Xanax
No,
considered a
so
Valium?
Xanax is a benzo. That's the shit that I was taking Xanax every day for I don't even know how many years, 8 years or some shit. And like I had to go get help to get out because you could die from
Trying to get
Xanax
off it.
withdrawals. Like you stop
Really?
Xanax and alcohol, the only thing that you could die from the withdrawals.
Wow.
Yeah, you could if you stop cold turkey, you could fucking die.
Holy shit! I did not know that.
Yeah. So, but weed edible was the only thing that I ever like. Somebody would be like, take fucking these 10 Molly. I'd be like, let's go. Anything. But if somebody was like, eat this brownie, I'd be like, no, I can't do it.
Yeah.
There's something about ingesting it that just takes you to another.
It does.
You know.
It
Yeah.
does.
And it's like I used to be able to, I smoked so much weed that I would be able to smoke weed. And if something happened that I needed to snap out of it, I snap out of it in a second. Like I'd be like, yeah, I'm not high anymore. Like
You could do that?
Yeah. But again, I smoked every day from the time I was 12 until I was 20, whatever. Like I don't even know. So like, I would smoke and be like, yeah, like there was, you go through a phase where you go, I don't get high anymore.
Yeah.
And I would just smoke and smoke a big, and then you get high one day and you're like, oh, that's fucking great. I forgot about that.
Yeah, like these guys like Snoop and shit, like they must not get high. Like if they smoke a blunt, they're not getting high, right?
Yeah, I mean, you go through phases. Like, so I remember like there would be weeks at a time where I'd be like, yeah, I just like that first smoke of the day. You'd be like, all right, I'm a little high, and then after that, like whatever I did, I'd be like, nah, like I'm
Yeah.
not.
Wow.
You're not really.
You smoke weed or no? Mm-hmm. You do.
Yeah, I mean, there was a period of time I never really started smoking weed until I was 33.
Oh, okay.
And it just became just like my ritual at night. Like I'd put my kid to bed because I don't drink, so I
Okay.
would just like have a little
That
hit,
would be like your
one hit.
mellow.
Yeah, that would be my mellow out. But I've gone through periods of time where I don't at all.
And you don't fuck with wine at all? Like you won't have a glass of red?
Alcohol is just not my friend. I just don't feel good on it. I feel really shitty the next day. It's just like not. It's just never mixed well with me.